I'm Anne Gleig, and I'm an Associate Professor of Religion with a focus on American Buddhism.
I'm Kim Lam, and I'm a postdoctoral research fellow with a focus on Buddhist youth.
I'm Caroline Starkey. I'm a sociologist of religion with a focus on British Buddhism.
We are here today to share From Complaint to Collective, a Bad Buddhist Manifesto. We are inspired by Hannah Gould and Melon McKay's Bad Buddhism, which they define as Buddhist beliefs, traditions, and practices that challenge normative interpretations and appear to degrade or distract from so-called authentic or pure Buddhism. As they continue, such ideals circulate within our field sites and scholarly communities, and they position certain regions, communities, and dare we say scholars as somewhat deviant and or lacking.
In Why a Complaint Collective in Buddhist Studies, I adopted feminist Sarah Ahmed's concept of complaint to analyse experiences in which my research populations, marginalised American Buddhists, had been dismissed by white male scholars as not real Buddhists. After it goes live, several female colleagues share their own complaints. Details differ, but the storyline is the same. Our marginalised lived Buddhist communities have been measured and found lacking against textual prescriptions or their lack of proximity to monastic elites. Critiques are amplified, but no means confined to female scholars working in non-Asian contexts.
For instance, when I've presented research on British Buddhist women at Buddhist Studies conferences in the UK, I get polite smiles, but very little deeper critical engagement. And certainly nothing like the encouragement that those scholars doing textual work or even ethnographic work in exotic places got. The feeling I got was, who cares about Buddhism in the UK? Your participants aren't real Buddhists. They don't even speak Buddhist languages either, and they're women.
Compare the gender dimensions of bad Buddhism with Buddhist Studies demographics. Natasha Heller's vital work shows striking gender inequities, with male scholars disproportionately represented across Buddhist journals, textbooks, and job positions. As Natalie Cooley explains, quote, how we define real Buddhism has effects in terms of which projects are funded, what types of expertise are rewarded, and who is granted access to various channels of power, end quote. In short, limited resources flow to institutionally sanctioned Buddhist studies faculty in prestigious universities. Scholars of bad Buddhism must find homes elsewhere, such as departments of sociology, and interact with Buddhist studies essentially as outsiders.
This has both individual and collective costs. Individually, as Gold and Mellon note, as relatively junior female scholars entering an international interdisciplinary scholastic community, we found that unspoken rules defining what is or is not deemed real or good Buddhism create a daunting, if not at times hostile, academic environment. We've all experienced the emotional labor of navigating this daunting, if not hostile, environment. Collectively, it diminishes the intellectual vitality of the field and is contributing to its slow demise, with Buddhist studies shrinking in Australia and in the UK.
In Australia, my research on Buddhist youth has been sidelined by textual scholars. As a result, it's become necessary for me to position myself as a sociologist, first and foremost, with a focus on youth and issues of diversity, in order to maximise my career opportunities. It's important to recognise the complexities of how we may be sidelined, especially those of us who work across a number of disciplines. Our vision for the future of Buddhist studies is simple. We need each other. We want more interdisciplinary, inclusive, and collaborative spaces which welcome marginalised Buddhists and marginalised Buddhist scholars.
One such model has been provided by our female colleagues Frances Garrett, Sarah Aoife and Betsy Moss at the University of Toronto. Take, for instance, their 2020 New Paths in Teaching Buddhist Studies conference. Participants represented disciplines from religious studies to art history, anthropology to psychology, and taught across North America, Europe, and Asia. The format was attuned to both the physical and the social body. Each session began with a short movement game, and many participants sat on the floor. The keynote speakers were female scholars who tackled topics such as gender and sexual violence.
Rather than perpetuate binaries of good and bad, such an embodied interdisciplinary approach moves the field forward from exclusion to inclusion, hostility to hospitality, and complaint to collective. Thank you.